Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, this is Greg, founder of www.wrestling-divas.webs.com, your source for highlighting the most beautiful and deadly entertainers in the professional wrestling industry. Thanks to everyone for tuning in via blogtalkradio.com for another exclusive interview on the behalf of my website. I am very, very, very excited because I've conducted a lot of interviews within the past week or so, and joining me today is a very special guest. She's been a pro wrestler since 2009. She is a former Total Championship Wrestling Women's Champion, which that is located in Texas, and she is currently one half of the Total Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions alongside Ken Carson, and they are known as the Power Couple. So I would like to welcome the wrestler, the stunning, the beautiful Barbi Hayden to the program. Hi, Barbie. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? And thank you for that intro. That was very sweet.
That was off the top of my head, so I have to give major kudos to me.
Yeah, seriously. No, I do too. Like, I need to have somebody do that every time I come out to the ring. No, I'm just kidding. That would be terrible. That would be kind of conceited, especially if you wrote that down.
No. You deserve it.
Well, thank you. Also, I wanted to mention you were talking about Total Championship Wrestling. That's in Austin, Texas, and I also wrestle quite regularly for the NWA, the Houston branch, which is in Cypress, Texas, which is Houston, Texas, basically. And I was the reigning women's champion there for several months, and I actually just lost the title last month, but I have a rematch coming up in a couple weeks. So, or actually a week now. Oh, my gosh, we're already in September.
That's great. You've done it all in 2 years. Wow.
Trying to. Trying.
Well, let's get right to it. The professional wrestling world and industry all stems from the entertainment industry. So my first question to you is, why professional wrestling and not acting or dancing or singing or any other career in the entertainment industry? Why professional wrestling over everything?
Well, first I want to totally rule out singing because I am a terrible singer. Or at least I've been told that because I sing all the time. But other than that, though, I actually used to dance. Whenever I was in high school, I was one of the dance officers. I was one of the captains of the dance team over at Temple High School, and I also went to Caldwell High School and Rockdale. So I went to different high schools. But anyway, I did dance, during high school and everything, and a little bit before that, and I really did. I loved it, and I loved how competitive it got. And, I've always been into sports and athletic things. Like, I was in softball for 11 years as a catcher. And I love it. I love being physical. I love being in the gym. And so that kind of stemmed into wanting to do something athletic with my life. And at a younger age, I kind of thought that I would probably dance whenever I went to like college or, so on and so forth. And I wanted to be like a Rangerette or a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader or something. And, I really looked up to those girls. But I think it was my sophomore or junior year of high school was whenever Ken Carson introduced me to wrestling because he had been a fan since he was a kid. And he took me to a live event, and I fell in love with it. I remember seeing specifically Mickie James in the WWE, and I saw her in person, and she was just gorgeous. I mean, all the girls were, and they are, just gorgeous, and they were so athletic, and they were so talented, and especially her. Like, I thought she was just so kind of brutal, but she was beautiful and athletic, and she could do all these things, and the crowd was always behind her, and I fell in love with it. I really did, as cheesy as that sounds. Like, I just got inspired by these girls because what they were doing was just so neat to me. And wrestling, describing wrestling to somebody who doesn't watch it, it's one of those things where you don't understand it until you become a fan of it or become a wrestler yourself. And it just it gets into your blood and it doesn't leave. Like, it's just one of those things that you just can't kick. Once you fall in love with it, you're in love with it, and it does not go away. And I don't know, that's kind of what inspired it. I saw these girls live, and I thought it was amazing. And I think right after I graduated from high school, I was really close with my dad, and he passed away unexpectedly, and at a very young age. And so, that kind of showed me that people can be taken away from life, very quickly and unexpectedly. And so I thought, you know what, I love wrestling. I love being athletic. Instead of college, I'm going to do that. I want to wrestle. So right after I graduated from high school, I started wrestling training in Austin under George De La Isla and Ray Campos. So that's kind of how that started.
Well, coming from a perspective of us fans, we see what's in a show. We see, all the performers, all the moves. We don't really understand what the training process is like to become a professional wrestler until we actually pursue it.
Yes.
So prior to becoming a professional wrestler in training, what were your expectations for the training process, and were they changed once you actually went through the whole process?
Yeah, they were changed very quick, actually. I was the only girl at the wrestling academy that I was in, and I think currently there's still only one other girl that goes there now. And so, that just kind of proves to you, and that's not just in Austin. That's pretty much everywhere you go. It's a male-dominated sport, and it's tough whenever you're the only girl in your class. And so you then become the rag doll for everybody because you're the only one that most of the guys can pick up easily or toss around easily. And so, literally when someone says blood, sweat, and tears, that is what I went through. I would have bruises and cuts and gashes and dislocated jaw, jammed up knees, jammed shoulders, sprained ankles. You pretty much name it. I'm sure all of us have had it. And the place that we trained is like a dungeon. It literally is like a dungeon. It's this huge, pretty much abandoned building for the most part, except for the front of the building, which is, another part of it, I guess. But it's just this huge old theater, and there's a ring down there, and it's on concrete flooring. There's no AC. And mind you, I started wrestling training in June 2009, which is summer. And in Texas, it's like 110 degrees every day during the summer. And I was there, 3 times a week for several hours and several hours, and, got one-on-one training and then had group training. And, I went from being in the AC and outside with dancing, because you kind of do both. And then all of a sudden I was just in this heat, and I was in this ring, and you learn how to fall and not just totally kill yourself. And, for weeks straight, I couldn't even lean my head back in the shower to wash my hair because, my neck was so sore that I couldn't even, function. I honestly thought about quitting, in the first couple months that I started, because I was like, this isn't worth it. This, being sore like this and being miserable all the time is not worth it. And then I started picking up on it a little more, I didn't think that I sucked so bad, which was nice. And I don't know, I think at first everyone kind of thought I was a joke, which really hurt my feelings. I would go home crying at least once a week because I felt totally embarrassed because they were like, you're just a small girl, what are you doing in this business? And you used to be in dance, this isn't, I always would hear, this isn't ballet. And of course I knew that, but it got shoved in my face. And so I worked really, really hard, and, I pushed myself to try and debut and, have my first match. And, of course, that didn't come till a little bit later, but that was fine because it didn't need to. But it was really tough. I feel like I'm rambling, but it was really tough.
It's no problem, and you're going in depth, so that's what I like, to always hear from interviewees. So you said this was a male-dominated industry, and every fan knows this. Women are certainly making an impact, definitely in the past couple decades or so, but it's still male-dominated. So for a female in this industry, how do you make an impact in a male-dominated industry, especially one that's very cutthroat?
A lot of it, and I don't mean to sound, I guess, too catty saying this, but you mentioned it's cutthroat, and it's also entertainment, and therefore you must look your part, and that's a lot of it, because there are so many girls out there, and guys, but there are so many women out there who scare me to death because they are so good at wrestling. I mean, like, actual wrestling, like getting in there and just, like, kicking people's butts, wrestling. And, I mean, they've been in this for several years, and they've had probably training all over the world, and, you know, they have all these different aspects and everything. And I'm not trying to knock that by any means because everyone has a different goal. But for me personally, I want to get to, you know, one of the so-called names, like one of the big companies like TNA or WWE, and, you know, it's one of those things where I know that it's very looks-based, and like I said, I'm not trying to sound like too catty or too idiotic saying this, but, I mean, that's one of it, is if you look the part, if you look good, or, you know, if you're trying to be a monster and you look like a monster, that's great. But, you know, if you want to be like a beautiful girl who's tough, then you've got to look the part. You've got to be in shape, and you got to keep up with yourself, and, you know, you got to keep things fresh, like by having new outfits or new moves or, you know, styling your hair, makeup different, and that's just the cosmetic part of it. You know, you can make an impact that way. And I do try to keep up with myself because, you know, there are a lot of girls on the indie circuit who are the rougher and tougher girls, and they don't care about wearing makeup or, you know, they don't care about doing their hair, and they're all about the wrestling, and that's fine for them, but that's just not my personal, you know, choice. I like to be kind of dolled up, and no pun intended, I guess, with the Barbie name, but, you know, I like to get dolled up, and the way I make my impact, I feel, is by being small, because I'm only 5'5", and you know, I only weigh $125, so, you know, I'm not like some huge muscular girl, but I did do powerlifting, which was, you know, kind of helped in my strength department, and so I can, generally speaking, hold my own. Like, for the most part, whenever I talk to girls or guys, because I do wrestle girls and guys, you know, like they'll say that I'm snug, so to speak, or I lay it in, and that's kind of that's how I make my impact. I don't think of wrestling as being fake. It gets under my skin when people say, oh, wrestling's fake, you know, it's all a production, da-da-da-da. No, like we go in there and we bust each other's butts and we bust our own butts, and, you know, it hurts at the end of the day. It really does. And I like to make things look real, and I like to be strong, and I like to throw girls around, and I like to do, you know, things on the ground like grappling. But then on the same note, you know, I can keep my wind, and I can run the ropes, or I can run around the ring, and I can do stuff off the top turnbuckle. And, you know, I'm not the most flippy person in the world, I guess, but I make do with the abilities I do have, and I try to go out there and prove to people that, you know, you can actually look like someone from the WWE, but you can be as talented as a girl like Sarah Del Rey, for instance, from ROH, you know?
So, and we talked about this a little bit prior to this interview,
Mm-hmm.
you have the what they would call the TV style look, and you definitely have the kind of, you know, TV promotion poster look, and please take that as a compliment.
Oh, no, I do, because, like I said, you know, it's definitely a cosmetic world.
But you said that you ultimately want to be remembered most for your athleticism. So having the look, how do you rise above just the look standard in professional wrestling and hoping that fans will see your athleticism more than they see you physically in the ring?
You know, a lot of that is being, like, it sounds weird, and I'm not trying to say, like, I'm, like, bipolar or anything, but, you know, I'm really sweet to the fans, outside of the ring, and I can be very bubbly, and I can be very energetic, and, you know, like, for some reason I connect really well with kids. Not that I have kids or anything, but, like, I guess I can, like, get on their level and chill with them, and it's, like, totally okay. And so that type of aspect goes with the whole WWE TNA thing, like, poster child thing. But whenever I get in the ring, like, it's like, it sounds so cliche, but it's like, I don't know how to say this. Like, I guess a switch is flipped. I guess the way to say that is like an idiot. I can't see what I'm talking about. But I don't know. It's like I go in the ring and I can be bubbly outside, but I go on the inside and I really start to get serious and I really start to like kick ass. And you know, like I said, like I don't only compete in the women's division. I also compete in the men's division. And I mean, my debut match was actually against a guy. His name is Jojo Bravo. And, you know, that's a lot of it is I hold my own. And I face a lot of girls who are bigger than me and, you know, probably stronger than me. But I really try to prove to the fans, especially to women, that, you know, you can be lean and you can be tough and, you know, you may, like, fall down sometimes, but you can definitely get back up. And that's how I try to make my impact. I try to be realistic about it. You know, like, I don't know. Like, I guess that's part of it. I try to be kind of like a role model for girls who maybe don't have the big size or they don't have the perfectly thin body or something, you know, like, because I have to work hard to stay in shape, especially because I'm a huge sweet eater. Like, oh, my gosh. And so, like, I'm a real person. I'm very realistic. And that's a lot of it. I like to try and be a role model for people and let them know that, you know, it doesn't matter what your size is or it doesn't matter how pretty or how ugly or whatever you feel you are, you know, you can still prove yourself and you can still be tough and you can still work hard and you can still earn your spot at a company. And that's a lot of what I feel like kind of my impact is.
I always get mixed responses when I ask this next question because it's always open for debate between the eyes of the fans and the people within the industry. But the WWE product, the company that everyone knows of and sees the most of, the women's division, the men's division, the everything about that company has changed a lot over the past just decade alone. And especially the women's division is getting some criticism because the WWE keeps hiring people
Models?
with the quote-unquote model look. Yes, exactly.
Oh,
and
no, they're actually models. It's bad.
And a lot of fans are criticizing them not only because all the models that they hire don't have any past wrestling experience or even passion for it beforehand, but none of them, according to the fans, and I'm going to leave my personal biases behind, but according to the fans, have different looks. You know, in wrestling they say you have to have the look, but the look doesn't always have to be one look. The guy doesn't always have to be the pretty boy, clean-cut girl, and the girl doesn't have to be, you know, the Barbie doll-looking girl. So what's your opinion on what the WWE is promoting out there?
What they're promoting, like, right now, or is that what you mean? Like, how
the current, like, women's division, how they're handling their product.
Man, that is a, because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or anything. No, I mean, honestly, it pisses me off. I mean, I know that there's probably a lot of girls who are going to look at me and, you know, by first judgment, they're going to be like, who is she? She looks just like them. But, man, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's more about what's in your heart to me, and that sounds super cheesy, but that's okay. That's really how I feel. But like you said, like a lot of these girls and guys, too, they're bodybuilders or they're models, you know, and they know somebody who was like, oh, hey, would you ever be interested since you're sucking it up in modeling or bodybuilding? Would you like to wrestle? Because there's not like 1,000 people out there busting their asses every day and every weekend to have this spot. So would you like to have it? We will hand it to you. Yeah, that really gets under my skin. And, you know, and honestly, the sad part is it's almost like WWE doesn't even have control over it necessarily anymore, and there's a lot of people who will disagree with me on that, but a lot of it is the fans who are still paying to see these people, you know, and there are still, you know, workers in the WWE. There are. And the problem is a lot of them are the underdogs, or they're the mid-carders, so to speak, and they'll never get the push because they're not 7 foot tall, or they're not a girl who's somehow 5'9" and weighs 95 pounds and, you know, doesn't know a lick about wrestling. But it just all comes back to, you know, marketing, and people are buying these posters of these girls who are half naked and weigh nothing and know nothing about wrestling or its history or anything about it. And, you know, it's just, honestly, it's just a big monster. And I'm glad to see there is starting to be a little bit of a change. I don't know if you keep up, like, within the past month or whatever it has been, but it's kind of nice because they've been kind of making fun of the girls in WWE, so to speak, I guess. And
yes, Beth Phoenix and Natalia have
exactly.
been kind of knocking on all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you do know what I'm talking about. You know, like, it's nice to see, even though I'm not the big, strong girl, like, you know, big and buff and everything like that, which is fine. I still root for them. I still think that's awesome, especially at the WWE level. And so it's nice to see them kind of point out what I think everyone has been kind of thinking. Because everyone, for a very long time, even when I was at that company or one of those companies this past March, it even seemed like people backstage were kind of like, wow, this is a joke. Like, why are these girls getting over? And it's nice to see kind of a change where, you know, they're letting the strong girls, you know, get a push, and they're kind of pointing out this stupid butt slapping, and, you know, I don't really go for the whole gimmicky stupid crap, like people dancing in the ring and, you know, being ultra slutty and all that stuff. I just don't really go for that. I think that's kind of a sad cry for for a pop. But I don't know. And then you have people like Daniel Bryan, who came in, or Bryan Danielson, I don't remember what he goes by now, but you know, he came in and he was actually an indie worker, and he works his butt off, and of course he's a mid-carder still, which is frustrating because he's not, you know, like Randy Orton, I guess, so to speak, you know, this tall guy who's buff and whatever. Of course, Randy Orton's paid his dues. He's been there forever, but I'm just using him as an example. But, you know, it is kind of nice because I feel like they are trying a little bit to get some real wrestling in there and to get some real perspective on things, but like I said, it's a big monster, and you know, it's like it's almost hard to change something you're already kind of feeding into, because if people are buying it, then why would you stop? You know, because ultimately that's what they're there for. They're trying to make money. It's their job, and so it's just kind of like a double-edged sword, I guess.
So it seems like and we do have 6 minutes left, not only as a warning to me, but and the fans, but because I do want to get to promoting you and how fans can contact you. But very quickly, it seems to get in order to get the ball rolling in another direction, fans definitely have to just kind of stray away from all of that, feeding into kind of like the whole manifestation of what the WWE has created.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I feel like it's a full circle deal. Everyone's got to kind of work together on this.
So wrapping up before we get to how fans can contact you, and we talked about this a little bit beforehand.
Oh, my phone is dying. My phone is dying. Oh, how phone don't die. I'm running to the other side of the house.
Okay, so very quickly, and it can be like 30 seconds if you want it to be, because I know your phone's dying.
Okay.
Everyone has a character in pro wrestling. Everyone has a character in everyone has a character in professional wrestling, and sometimes they're a face or sometimes a heel or good guy and bad guy respectively. So if for like 30 seconds, and you can choose whatever character you want, whether it's a good guy or a bad guy. I personally like the bad guys a little bit more when they're cutting promos, but could you explain to our viewers why you are the best female professional wrestler in the world?
Why I am the best in the world? Well, first off, because I have only been in this business for 2 years. And in that time, I have become a women's champion for NWA. I have fought for the national NWA title. I have been a women's champion for other companies like TCW out of Austin and, a few others around Texas. And I am now traveling monthly to other states. And, I'm kind of like a double threat type deal where I look good. I sound good, of course, so that kind of goes hand in hand. But then I can actually wrestle. I can go in there and I can squash my competition. And honestly, I don't care if I have to cheat to win. I don't care if I have to bring someone else in to kind of help back me up or whatever. That's cool. Because at the end of the day, I am victorious everywhere I go. And I will work as hard as I can to squash everyone, everywhere, until I make it to the top, because that's where I deserve to be. Because I have this in my heart. As cheesy as that sounds, I deserve to be at the top. Because I bust my ass in this. And like I said, I don't care how I will win, and I will make it to the top.
With 3 minutes left, how can fans contact you?
They can contact me through my email. My personal email is barbi.hayden@live.com, which is BARBI.HAYDEN @live.com, or they can look me up on Facebook under Barbi Hayden, or my Facebook fan page, which is Fans of Barbi Hayden. And, they can contact me on there. And I really like sharing, fan photos. I think that's the coolest thing ever. If someone makes me a really cool poster, someone just made me one recently that had stars that lit up on it, which was just the coolest thing ever. And so little things like that. I love sharing stuff with the fans, by the fans, and for the fans, honestly. And I'm very hands-on. I will contact people back, and, I'm not just going to snub everybody. But, they can always Google search or YouTube search. I have plenty of promos, and I have plenty of videos. Unfortunately, my best matches are not online, unless you go to a website where I do custom matches, where I just faced Sarah Del Rey this past couple weeks, which was incredible. But that's MLWonline.com. That's MagnificentLadiesWrestlingOnline.com. And, I'm trying to think. That's probably the main ones. And then, of course, I'm on the NWA Houston website and the Total Championship Wrestling website.
Well, the annoying voice is telling me that I have 60 seconds left, so I'd just like to thank you for this interview, and I hope it was worth your time.
Oh, it was great.
The annoying little voice, and I hope it wasn't generic, because that was the goal. So I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I hope that you find success wherever you go.
Well, thank you. Hey, also the word to kind of wrap up why I do this is lifespan.
Okay. Fans know how to contact you, and I'm not trying to rush you, but I do want to plug in that you can check out more content on www.wrestling-divas.webs.com, and that's Divas with a Z. So Thanks for everyone for tuning in via blogtalkradio.com, and be sure to check out the site for more details and content. Thank you again.
Thank you.